Welcome to this episode of Learn in Fusion. In today's episode, we're going to be covering our three last episodes in one little episode, kind of combining all three so we can create an animation. So we're going to be creating this simple little clock animation because I want to keep it fairly simple, but I did want to highlight our Spline Editor that we went over a few episodes ago, our Keyframe Editor, which we covered a few episodes ago, and our path editor or path animation, which we covered in our last episode. So if you haven't watched those three videos, be sure you check those out because I'm going to be jumping in and we're going to be creating this, but I'm not going to be teaching you how to actually do those things. I'm just going to be walking you through it so you can see how all those things kind of interact while we create animation within Fusion. So let's roll this intro and let's jump into it.
We're learning Fusion together. We'll learn 2D stuff and 3D stuff and particle stuff and compositing stuff, deep pixel stuff and tracking stuff, but not other stuff, but some other cool stuff, cause we're learning Fusion together.
All right, so we're in our edit page. We're going to go ahead and just delete all this out, and we're going to create a new Fusion comp. So let's delete this. I'm going to delete my clips, and I'm going to get rid of these markers for right now. So remove all markers. And let's create a new Fusion clip. So new Fusion composition, and we're going to make it 12 seconds long. So 12, and whatever your frame rate is, you can select whatever frame rate. I've got mine on 30. But if you change it to like 24, just make sure you're keeping that in mind when you're creating your keyframes on your seconds. So don't follow me exactly if you do a different frame rate. So I'm going to create it. Let's go ahead and drag that in, and let's jump into Fusion. So in Fusion, first thing we want to do is go ahead and get our background in. And we want to create our paths. So if you remember, we can't create circle paths with our ellipse. We need to use our polygon line. So let's go ahead and create our first circle. And just remember, wherever we right click, that's where you're going to create the center of your circle. So I want to be in the middle as much as possible. You can create guides and all that stuff if you want, but I'm just going to kind of eyeball it-ish. Go to Polyline, create Ellipse. And I'm going to leave this on 0.25 for our first one. So let's go ahead and create a new one. Whoops, not an ellipse. Create a new polygon or polyline. And again, go to our center-ish, right click, polyline, create ellipse. In this one, I'm going to do 0.3 and 0.3. Let's add one more. And on this one, create ellipse, and this one's going to be 0.35. So there we go. We've got our three concentric circles for our little clock. And let's go ahead and rename these. So let's hit F2, circle 01 underscore path. 2 underscore path, and circle 03 underscore path. So we've got them all named, and again, let's keep them nice and organized. Hit Shift Space, underlay, and we've got them all in a nice little underlay. So now we need to make sure we create paths with these circles, because right now they're just polylines. So let's go to circle 1. And if you remember, if we go over here, right click, we want to remove this polygon. Right click and select publish. Do the same thing on circle 2. Right click, remove, right click, publish. And on circle 3, remove, right click, and publish. So now we've got all of our paths published for our circles. Now let's go ahead and create our little ellipse we're going to use for our little clock. So I'm going to bring down a merge node, then a background, and put our little background. Let's bring in an ellipse, input our ellipse. Let's change our background to a purple. Go to our ellipse and let's resize this. And let's create one more. Get a background and an ellipse. Let's change this background color to a blue. And then change the size of our small circle. So there we go. We've got our two circles for our clock. And now we just need to connect them to paths. So let's go to the first ellipse and go to our center, right click, select path. Once we do, we've got this modifier up here. We're going to go to our modifiers and make sure we're on the first keyframe. Let's get rid of that keyframe. Right click, connect to. We're going to select circle 3, I believe, on this one, the big one. There we go, circle 3. And if we go to our path right here, you can see we've got our little displacement. But if you notice, by default, our displacement is making it go from 0 to 1, and it's counterclockwise. So we want to make this go clockwise. So we actually want to start at 1. So at 1 in the beginning, we're going to create a keyframe. We're going to go to the end, and we're going to change. And now, if you notice, I can't slide my displacement. I can't change that. And if I push play, it's going to do this weird thing, creating keyframes everywhere. So watch, play, look at all these keyframes being created. It's insane. We're just going to double click that, get rid of these keyframes, leave one keyframe up there, and then we're going to open our Spline Editor. And the problem is we created a locked keyframe. So that's the issue we're having right there. And that's why we can't create these new keyframes that we wanted. So to fix that, and sometimes it'll create a locked one, sometimes it won't. But we can go up here and make sure we click on our spline here. So we can right click, polyline, and you see we've got this lock points and lock point pairs. So we just want to go here and uncheck this lock point and lock point pairs. Once we do, we can close this down. If we go to our little modifier, you can see we can change our stuff. So let's change this to actually 1. For some reason, it increased our little range there. And we're going to go to the end, and we're going to make this 0. So now it's keyframed correctly. So now if you look, it's going clockwise around our little polyline. So let's do the same thing with our ellipse 2, or our little one. We're going to go to center, path. Once we do, we go to our modifiers. Let's uncheck this. Make sure we're in the beginning. Right click, connect to. We're going to select circle 1 value. If we go to our path, same thing. We want to switch this to 1, keyframe it. And then on this one, we actually want to go to frame 30 and change our keyframe. So now if we push play, you can see our little second hand went around once in 1 second, but we can loop this up across the entire duration of our clip here. So we can go to spline, make sure we've got the ellipse selected. We can select our points, hit Control A, and then we can go down to this loop, or go down to this loop, select loop, and now you notice we've got a loop going across our entire clip. So if I play, our little second hand is going around every second. But one thing to note is we're stuck down here at 9 o'clock. So if you look, it's starting at 9 o'clock. We actually want this to start at 12. Now you can change these paths, but it gets a little weird and finicky changing some of these paths to rotate them when we're not using regular polygons or polylines as paths. So the easiest way to do this is we can just go here, add a transform node, and change this to -90, -90. Copy our transform node, paste it, and just stick it under our little background there. So now both of them are starting at 12 o'clock. So there we go. So the next step is creating our little numbers for our clock here. So we're going to grab a merge node, and then we're going to grab a multi-merge node. We're going to input that, and let's give us some room here. Let's move our pass out of the way. So what I want to do is I want to create numbers going all the way around. So we can grab a text node. Let's input it. In our text node, let's just type 12. And let's change our tracking up here to squish them together. So now we've got our number. Now what I want to do is I want to put this number on our path. So if I go to our number, go to our layout here, and right here we have our center. So I can right click this and select path. Once I do, we get this modifier button. So I can go to the modifiers just like we did in our ellipse and get rid of that keyframe. I can right click, connect to, and I want this on path 2 value. So now it's stuck on path 2. And if I go to our displacement on path 2, you can see I can change the location of our numbers on our path. So I can just kind of eyeball it and stick it where I need to stick it. So I can take this text, Control C, Control V, paste it, and change this to 1. Go to our modifier and change the location of our 1. And I'll show you one more before I just fast forward all this. So Control V, input it on this one. This is number 2. I can go to our modifier and change the location on our path. So I'm going to fast forward the rest of these numbers. And there we go. And before I straighten all these up, I want to rename these so I know what's going on. Like I said, naming convention is important. And when we get to our Spline Editor, it'll make much more sense if we know what numbers these are. So I'm going to select all these, hit F2, and start renaming. So T12, so that side's named, and let's go ahead and select all these. Hit F2, T6, so there we go. We've got them all named, and now we can go through here and we kind of go to our displacement on our modifiers and fix the locations of any of these and straighten them up how we want. And there we go, fairly straight, good enough for this little demo. So now we've got all of our time on our clock up there, and now we want to animate all these. And for this, we're going to use the Spline Editor. So if we go to, say, T12 here, we can go to our shading, and we're going to create a keyframe on our opacity. And what I want to do is I want to go to frame 30. And on frame 30, I'm going to change our opacity down to 0.2, so it's lower. And I want to do this for every single number. So what I want to do is I really want to go to my Spline Editor here, not select anything. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create markers, so it's easier for us to navigate through here. So I'm going to right click, add a marker. So I've got a marker on 0. And the easiest way to do this is I can show my marker list, and I want to add a marker on every second. So I can hit add at 30, at 60, 90, and I can do this for every second of my timeline. So if I look, now I've got markers going across my entire timeline. It's just easier for me to just double click and go to those markers. Now, one thing I want to do is I want to right click in here and go to my options, and I want to make sure this enter or enable marker grab isn't on. That way, the little lines that come through here as I'm changing my keyframes and doing stuff, I'm not accidentally grabbing markers. So I can go to T12 and I can see my little animation there. So what I want to do is I want to select that, and I want to smooth out my curve. And I could just double click, go to my next one, And I can just keep selecting different numbers. So now I can go to T1, go to my shading. I can add a keyframe, back it up one. And so this is dull before it comes on. I'm going to add 0.2. And then I'm going to go to my 1 second mark here just by double clicking my little marker and 0.2. Then what I want to do is I want to hold Control, select these two keyframes only, not this one because I don't want this one smooth. I want it to suddenly turn on. So I'm going to select these two and then just smooth those out. Then I can go to T2 and do the same thing. So add a keyframe at 1 for opacity. Go back one. Change it to 0.2. Go 1 second in. 0.2. Hold Control. Select these two keyframes and smooth them out. And I'll show you one more before I speed all this up. So go to my text node here. Select my shading. Create a keyframe on my opacity. I'm going to go back one. Hit 0.2. Go to my next marker. 0.2. Hold Control, select these two keyframes, and smooth it out. Now that I've got all my numbers set up, on my last one, I want to turn this 12 back on. So I want to select my 12 and make sure I put a keyframe of 0.2 there. That way it's not changing. So now if I close this up and we look at our little animation here, it's looping correctly and it looks good. So next thing we want to do is we want to do these little callouts or these fonts kind of coming out with our time flashing up. So let's grab another merge node and grab a multi-merge. We're going to input that. Grab another text node, bring that in. And on this text node, we're going to type 12. And let's change our color. Let's start out with our purple here, and we're going to animate that color. So we're going to create a keyframe on our little color there. Go to 30, and I don't know, let's change it to a yellow. Additionally, let's change our shading here. So I'm going to keyframe it, go to 30, and change our opacity. Additionally, let's go ahead and change our sizing. So we want to start with this size. So we can go here, keyframe our size, go to the next keyframe, and we can increase it. So now if we push play, we can see our 12 is getting larger. Let's go ahead and add some spin on it. So we can go to our layout here and go to the beginning. Let's keyframe our Z position, go to 30, and let's change it to, I don't know, there, 41. So there we go. Now we've got our little letters keyframed. And instead of creating new text and changing the timing of our keyframes, an easy way to do this is just cut, copy, and paste this node as is, and then we can use the Keyframe Editor to change the timing. Because we've already used our little paths, we've used our spline to edit stuff, now we want to use our Keyframe Editor to edit our keyframes. So let's go ahead and copy this one. We're going to paste it. And this one we're going to change to 3. We're going to paste another one. This one we're going to change to 6. Let's paste one more, and this one we're going to change to 9. So 9. So we've got all of our animations going at the same time, but we want our 3 to go off when it hits 3, 6, and 9 accordingly. But before we do that, let's go ahead and clean this up. So let's rename our little nodes here. So let's select these, hit F2, and this is T_12 and T_3. And then these ones, F2, T_6, T_9. This will just make it easier to find when we look at our keyframe editor, because if you remember right, in our keyframe editor, we're going to see every single node in there. So let's go down here and let's fit this so we can actually see our little keyframes. So you see we've got our 12, our 3, our 6, and our 9. And we can just slide these to be where we need them to be. So to be able to move this where our 3 location is, I believe that's 90. We can go to 90, and that's where our 3 pops up. So we can go to our keyframes on our 3 right here. We can just highlight till we have this little arrow. We can drag that on over till it's on frame 90. We can go to our next one at 6. So grab our 6. We can just slide that on over till it pops in at 180. Go to our next one at our 9 position. Take our 9. Just slide those keyframes over till it's at 270. So now they're all popping in when they're supposed to pop in. So if we close this and we play our little animation, there we go. We've got our clock working right with our little letters flying through. And we can clean this stuff up too. So we can shift space, underlay. So we can add underlay on all our little text nodes. We can grab these, shift space, underlay. We can throw a little underlay on all of our little time text nodes. So it's nice and clean. And from here, you can do whatever you want. I believe I put a motions trail or a trails on it in the quick one I did. So shift space, trails node. There we go. And on our trails, I can change this gain to, I don't know, 0.95 maybe. Push play. There we go. I can even change our blur size to 0.9. So we've got it blurring. And then we can copy this, Control C, Control V, and hold Shift, put it under our transform there. So now our little blue one will be trailed, but that's too much. So we can change this to 0.8 maybe. And let's change our blur to 0.8 as well. There we go. We can even change our offset or our scale. So we can scale this down to 0.9 if we want. It's going to scale in like a little weird. But there we go. So we've got our little clock. animated using our Spline Editor, using our Keyframe Editor for our little letters down here. And our Spline Editor helped us out with our numbers here, so we can easily animate them instead of having to do extra work changing each and every single node. Additionally, we used our path editor to assign paths to our little ellipses here to go around, as well as assigning our numbers here to the path. So that is creating simple basic animation in Fusion. Once you get some practice in, you'll be able to create some pretty amazing things. But until then, I will see you in the next episode.